Okay. I'd like to start by reading a poem. The poem is by, I think it's T.S. Eliot, and he says, "What we call the beginning is often the end. And to make an end is to make a beginning. The end is where we start from." And I want to read that because we're about to talk about AlphaGo. And today I have Hajin Lee again. Hi, Hajin.
Hello, Kevin.
How are
Nice to
you?
see you again. I'm doing very well. Thank you. How about you?
I'm doing all right. Things have changed
Yes.
since the last time we've talked. The
Yes.
the AlphaGo match has happened,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I am still. I still don't think it's real for me that what we've seen
Yeah.
and what we've seen happen. AlphaGo has beat Lee Sedol 4-1,
Yes.
and that is something I never would have thought of happened. Um,
Right.
Even though, I mean, talking with people,
Mm-hmm.
it still feels not real to me. How does it feel for you?
Um, so that's right. A big thing changed about Go,
Mm,
but other than the idea that there is such a strong computer, I don't feel much different
right.
in daily life.
Hmm, right. But yeah, I guess it's true. I mean, at the end of the day, we can still play Go,
Right.
and we can still. There's still pros, and
Mm-hmm.
and so Go still exists. What has changed? What have you? What major changes have you seen with the attitudes, either about computers or AlphaGo,
Mm-hmm.
or just Paduk in general after these matches? What have you seen in Korea?
So the immediate change was people's interest in Go.
Hmm.
It was so much higher.
Okay.
So during the event, we had enormous publicity about this game. And then I'm not really sure about outside Korea, but in in the country, in Korea, like almost everyone heard about Go. And then although Lee Sedol lost, the impression of the game must have been really positive to most of the people. So I heard that many Go classes or Go private Go academies
Hmm.
had a lot more new incoming students.
Hmm.
And also the Go books and Go equipment were selling so much better. So it has been very nice for the Go community
Yeah, I
since the
agree.
event. Hmm.
I was actually really surprised at how many people were watching. And I was even more surprised at how many people were watching in Korea that you would like. Was it true that you could walk down the
Hmm.
streets and sometimes TVs would be playing it?
Yes, yes. So the game 5 had the most TV channels covering the game on live,
Oh
and I
wow!
think there were about 9 TV channels altogether
Oh
that had the
wow!
live broadcasting, and 5 or 6 of them are really major ones.
Oh wow! And so they must be talking about it. And I guess it's true. It's like what we
Mhm.
said in the previous talk that we said then they realized they have all this pride because they didn't realize that they had one of the strongest players in the whole world. It must have
Mhm.
been really surprising and awesome for them to hear.
Yes, yes. And then thanks to Isadora Nine Dance, well-spokenness and dramatic presentation of
Mm,
this entire match. The last game was not really about like the game or the match because we already knew that AlphaGo was the winner.
mm,
But at that point, Isadora Nine really knew who he was playing, and then somehow everything was so dramatic and touching.
mm. That's true. He was the way he talked about how he felt after each match was
Hmm.
really interesting. Sometimes he wouldn't say. Sometimes he would say it's stronger, but
Mm.
sometimes he would say it's a fail. It's like my failure, and
Mm.
it was really
Yes.
interesting to hear him talk about
Mm.
that. Is just to like I've never expected
Mm-hmm.
that. I mean, some when you
Mm-hmm.
play against another human, there's
Yes.
usually this and that, but like
Right.
when it's you play a computer and it's this, it was like
Mm.
how his feelings about it, and how, I really
Mm.
don't think there could have been a better person to play him and talk about this.
Right, right. Yes. She did an amazing job.
I'm yeah,
Mm.
and I also am really because I watched when I watched it on I watched the American streams, and then I also
Yes.
watched some of the Korean and the Chinese streams, and
Mm-hmm.
each one was so interesting in how they did it.
Yes.
It was like the popularity of it was really nice,
Mm.
and just how everyone looked at the game and analyzed the game, and it really
Right.
made me realize how big,
Mm.
how many people this must have reached. Were you surprised
Right.
about that too?
Yes, and then Google DeepMind announced the numbers, some numbers,
Right,
and then one of them was 280 million viewers.
right. Yeah,
Yes,
I was so
that's
surprised.
an amazing number.
I would have
Yes.
never thought a Go video
Mm,
on YouTube
yes,
would hit more
right.
than 1 million views. And
Of course.
when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, wow, this is insane." Um, I wanted to ask you one thing about this.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about all these different aspects, but this is the first one
Mm,
I wanted to talk about, which was when we talked about the Fang Hui game.
mm,
You
mm,
said that when you saw AlphaGo play,
mm,
you said that I think it was playing
mm,
to
mm.
win, but not playing its best.
Right.
Was that
Yes.
now?
Mm-hmm.
When you saw this
Yes.
this time around,
Mm-hmm.
was it the same feeling or was it different?
It was the same feeling
Hmm. Okay. And
against Isedu Naindan, right?
right, yes.
Yes, it was the same feeling.
So it was almost like an immeasurable, like you still weren't able to really understand how strong it was, or is it different than that?
Um, I could get a good sense, and also we saw AlphaGo lost at least one game,
Yes,
and I think that gives some like a better sense about how strong it is.
that's true. Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm.
And so, yeah, okay. Let's talk about that move because that
Yes,
I I'm really ashamed to admit this. After I saw the first three games,
yes,
uh, my heart was sort of broken. I was like,
mm-mm.
oh, we can't win.
Yes, right.
And
I
then,
many people felt that way. Yes.
yeah, and like, I think even if in
Mhm.
the commentary, you could see people's attitudes change
Right, yes.
as it happened. And after after game four, everyone's
Mm.
emotions were all, it was like, oh my gosh, just whatever.
Yes, right, right.
But I was definitely the same way where I saw the game, and
Mm-hmm.
then I think it was before the magical move, and
Mm.
I was just like, well, I guess this is it. I'm so tired.
Right.
I'm gonna go to
Mm-hmm.
sleep. And I
Yes.
woke up the next morning. It's like, oh, you said no one. I was like, what?
Yeah. Oh, I see. You're asleep
I
when he
was, yeah.
won.
And so I wasn't able to. I had to go back and watch all these videos of how people reacted and saw it,
Yes.
and um, even like the surprising thing was just how
Mm-hmm.
so many people were saying, "Well, this works," and then it came to know afterwards that there were variations that showed that it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when this happened, I'm let's talk about Game Four from your perspective.
Yes.
What
Mm-hmm.
was Game Four like for you in between the start, that move, and
Mm.
afterwards?
So, in the beginning, I guess my hope was somewhat lower because of the first three games,
Mm,
but I was still hoping Lee Sedol would win. And I think we had the least number of people on the site on the
mm.
fourth game because one thing was that it was Sunday and journalists are like supposed to take a day off on
Oh,
Sunday.
right.
But we still did have some people. And another thing was that the winner was already decided.
Mm,
So somehow the atmosphere was like less dynamic or energetic, more like calmer.
Hmm.
And then in the beginning, we were somewhat discouraged, but still had some hope.
Hmm.
We thought it will be still nice if Lee Sedol Dan can win.
Right.
And then, like in the opening, and then somehow into the middle game, it seemed like Black was just so much in a better position.
Right.
So, like, didn't have high hope. But then, like, as Black was like forming this entire thing in the upper side and center,
Hmm.
my thought was that on the third game, the game before the fourth game,
Mm-hmm.
Isadora then managed to make something like some core inside like AlphaGo's big territory.
Hmm.
And that seemed very unlikely, but my feeling about that incident was that maybe AlphaGo is not very good at like killing things inside its own territory. Probably because it seems like there are so many moves that would work for it.
Right. Yeah. This is funny because
Mm-mm.
in the Chinese commentary I watched,
Yes.
I think when Iseto
Mm.
basically let him get that big territory,
Yes.
everyone was
Mm.
so surprised in the Chinese commentary. They said,
Mm.
"Oh, his feelings must be in the wrong area.
Mm.
Like, how could he do this?" And
Yes, yes.
it might like the way we've seen how Lee
Mm.
Sedol changed how he played. It might have been that
Mm-mm.
he's been learning to play against AlphaGo in that way.
Right.
So after going
Mm.
into that, leading into the middle game and then to that
Right,
move,
right.
how
Yes.
did it feel?
So, like, I'm not sure if that kind of like formation was intentional or somehow it happened that way.
Mm,
But the game was in a way that if Lisadur 9 then can live or like make something out of Black's like a huge territory, then White would have some advantage because White got some secure territory here and there, right?
right.
So at that point, I had a hope, and then I got a little excited because I knew that he was going to try something. And
Mm,
then I was actually talking about that with Myungwan.
mm,
So against a human player, I wouldn't have been excited, but I thought because it was AlphaGo and AlphaGo wasn't very good yesterday, I mean, at that perspective,
right.
I thought something could happen. And then when Isadora 9 then like started doing some things in the center and
Mm,
with the wedge and then it worked.
right.
And when it worked, I knew that the game was like really good for White. And then like AlphaGo started making these horrible moves. You know, I
Yeah.
think it was confused.
Yeah.
Like extending on the first line or like sudden wedge on the corner that would
Right.
just give it away.
Right.
So while AlphaGo was doing that, I was like very confident that
Mm,
this game was lost for AlphaGo.
I see.
And it was like really nice feeling. I was very happy.
Mm,
And then I couldn't like see AlphaGo like resigns.
mm,
And then that finally happened and I was very happy.
yes. That's pretty cool. I love my favorite thing I saw after that was that he said, "I've never been congratulated this much for winning one
Yes.
game."
Right, right. Yes, yes. He
And
said that.
I imagine that when they saw the resign button, were people just loud and cheering where you were, or was everyone just like, "Oh wow," that's like what was it happened right after you saw like that AlphaGo resigned? Like, what did you hear? What did you see?
Oh, when we saw AlphaGo like resign the message,
Mm,
oh, no, actually, we didn't see that first. What I saw and other people saw was Aja putting two black stones on the board
right. Yeah.
like this
Mm-hmm.
as a like gesture of resignation. And then I knew that AlphaGo resigned.
Mm-hmm.
And almost at the same time, like people like erupted with like applause in the English commentary room and Korean commentary room.
Oh wow.
And then like I almost ran into the playing room.
Right. Just
Yes, yes. And then like Isedol Naindan was reviewing the game with the referee and another Korean professional player.
mm-hmm.
And then like he looked just as serious as he when as when he lost.
Oh.
Because when like Go players after the game they review, right?
Hmm.
And then it's a custom that the loser and the winner they both have like a kind of bland expression because it's a polite thing to
Mm.
not to show your
Emotion.
excitement when you win or like sadness when you lost. So he was doing the same like review
Mm.
as always, like talking about this move and that move. And
Mm.
that's what exactly he was doing when he lost. So I approached it to him
Mm.
and then said, "Congratulations, it was an awesome game."
Mm.
And then like he was like talking with these other pros and then he didn't answer me, but he kind of had like a very little smile on his
Ah.
face. And
Wow.
and
No.
then like after saying that I noticed the DeepMind team was still in the playing room with Demis and
Mm.
Maddie and other people. And then I went to them and then they were all smiling. And then they congratulated me. I even hugged a few people. I think we were all very emotional.
Yes. Just to see that it can happen. It's just yeah.
Right, right. And you know, the nice thing about the day was that everyone was happy. There was no loser. Maybe AlphaGo was sad, but we couldn't see that, right?
Right.
Like even Ada or Demis or the DeepMind team, like everyone was so happy for
Mm.
the win.
Oh,
It was just yeah, a very amazing day.
that's that's so cool. And just that's the first
Mm-hmm.
time I actually also heard about how pros after they win or lose, they
Mm-hmm.
have a very uh, poker face, I guess.
Right,
They
right,
don't
right.
they don't
Yes,
show
they
it.
don't show. So when you just look at the pictures of like people reviewing after the game, you
Hmm.
can't tell who won or who lost.
Right. But yeah, that's something maybe I should learn as an amateur because after I win, if I
Mm,
win, I'm okay, but if I lose, I look so sad.
right,
but
right.
so let's go from there and talk about um both with Lee Sedol
Mm,
playing and learning.
mm,
I'm also curious how do we learn
mm,
from AlphaGo?
mm,
We sort of saw this happen, and I think you watched the stream too because think it happened in Game 5 where Lee
mm.
Sedol sort of played the same opening,
Yes.
and AlphaGo played the same opening too. And
Mm,
there
mm,
was one move he played that was exactly the same as the Game
mm,
3, and I
mm,
saw Lee Sedol smile when he saw
mm.
that, which
Yes.
was great.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the first thing I want to ask
Mm,
about how we learn is AlphaGo always playing the right move? Is
mm,
because of how the computer works and how it's analyzed, when it
mm,
plays a move, does that mean that like in that
mm.
situation, this was the only move to be played? What do you think?
So what I heard from the DeepMind team
Mm,
was that in the opening, AlphaGo can't tell, like in most cases, which move is better. So there is some element of like randomness.
mm.
So if there are like five equally good looking moves in the opening, then AlphaGo would randomly choose one of the five.
Oh, okay.
But if AlphaGo had a reason to believe like this certain move is better than any other move, then it will always play that move.
Mm.
So that is the opening. And like toward the middle game or the end game, AlphaGo doesn't play the best move, I feel, like not always, because it is not trying to maximize the
The win, yeah.
the win, yes. It
It's
is
only
mm,
by 1 point. Even if it was
that's
1 point,
right.
yeah.
It is trying to take the safest way to the win, and it doesn't matter if that win is by a half point or by 100 points.
Mm,
And then, like, considering the half point to win and 99 point to win is the same, like equal,
mm,
it would only consider the like highest probability of getting there.
mm.
And that's that is possible only because AlphaGo is a computer and it has the ability to search through to the end of the game.
Hmm. So does that
Oh,
mean that we
mm,
as well, not we as pros, but pros, yeah, because I'm
yes,
not,
yes, right.
but that if AlphaGo chooses to do something, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right move for a human to play.
Right, right. So for humans, I don't think it is possible to calculate the probability of win of like each variation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we have to rely on the best move on like each situation.
Mm. Oh, I see. So, okay. So we still have to work within what we can do,
Right,
and
right.
AlphaGo has to
Yes.
do what AlphaGo can do.
Yes.
So, so
Mhm.
okay. So that necessarily doesn't mean that AlphaGo plays the right sort of the right move for AlphaGo, but it doesn't mean
Mm,
it's the right move for us.
that's
But
right. Yes.
so how? So it still goes back to
Mm,
learn. How do we learn from AlphaGo? Do we just
yes.
copy its moves, or like what's something that maybe you thought, okay, this is something we can really learn from? Is there like an example or a way of thinking that you saw?
Yes. So the first thing was that AlphaGo doesn't have any like prejudice to like certain things that we say we shouldn't do.
Hmm. Right.
And also AlphaGo is I feel like AlphaGo's moves are very, how do you say? It's like free.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure about other pros,
I well.
but like in my case,
Mm-hmm.
probably similar. Like when you see a certain situation or like certain move of your opponent,
Mm-hmm.
there are like in a matter of second, you see all the candidates like how you could respond to that move. Like, okay, so I could do this or that, or I could tenuki, something like this.
Mm-hmm.
But like once in a while, AlphaGo would play like a move that was like totally out of my candidate range.
Hmm.
And I think that's because AlphaGo doesn't have any like preconception,
Hmm.
if that makes sense.
No, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And the funny thing
Mm.
is, before we talk about it, is I remember one time we were talking about Lee Sedol,
Yes.
and you said the same thing about Lee Sedol, that
Right, right, yes.
like Lee Sedol has this creativity that
Yes.
you'll think of the four moves, but he'll think of that fifth move that no one's
Yes,
ever
right,
thought of.
right.
And it
Yes.
sounds almost exactly like AlphaGo will like we'll look at these four moves and then
Yeah,
it'll
that's
play the one that
right.
we thought. So
Yes.
and I agree because when I asked my teacher about this, my
Hmm.
teacher said the same thing that
Yes.
maybe we as Go players or
Mm.
even how pros play
Yes.
are locked into a certain way of thinking.
Yes, exactly. And then that's like really interesting thing about Go. Like when you're a weaker player,
Hmm.
like it's so hard to get stronger. But with these things like preset patterns or a way of doing things,
Mm-hmm.
you can like get to the higher level relatively quickly.
Right. And sometimes it's like copying or like
Right, right. So there are like Go idioms like
Hane
when
at the head
your
of two.
opponent,
Yeah.
yeah, attach you, you should hane or you should extend. Like you're not supposed to do this or you are supposed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then like that's like very convenient in the beginning to get to the higher level.
Mm.
But once you are at the really high level, you have to be free of those sets again, I think.
Right.
But you're already like, as you said, or your teacher said, locked into this habit of thinking
Hmm.
of things. So I think that's why we have this blind spot of certain moves.
Yeah. The funny thing, even for me,
Mm,
in getting stronger, that getting a teacher was useful for me was that
mm, mm,
my teacher would say everything I thought, if I do this, then he does this and I do this, and I had
mm.
it played out and I was just ready to play that. And
Yes.
my teacher would say, no, you've got to slow down and be
Mm.
able to open your eyes and think about these
Right,
other
right.
moves. And it feels
Yes,
almost the
yes.
same way that
Right.
like it's like, oh, if I do this, of course I do that. But then my
Mm-mm.
teacher's like, no, slow down and look at it, and you can see another. There's a better move, and
Yes.
it almost feels like it's the same feeling.
Mm.
So does it? Is it more just that a new way of thinking or a new, like an sort of like a door's been open, or like in terms of how
Right.
you're approaching the game? Is is
Mm-hmm.
that what's is that what AlphaGo has done?
So I think just by looking at the five games that AlphaGo played with Lee Sedol Dan,
Mm.
I'm not sure if we can learn anything like specific or concrete. But what we
Mm.
learned from it was that it is possible to be like clearly stronger than like the top players we have now.
Mm.
I think what we saw is the possibility of playing even a higher dimension of the game
Oh wow, that's
that we didn't think it was possible. In my life, I never thought it was possible to be like clearly stronger than the top players of like the world now, like Lee
wow.
Dan or Hajin Dan.
Hmm.
But after seeing the AlphaGo games, I realized that there was so much more room in Go to get to the higher level than that.
Oh, that's amazing. I had never thought of it like that. That I mean, I have the same thing where I don't know if Koreans have this. Chinese has it. I think Japanese has the same thing where they say a
Mm.
frog in a well,
Yes,
and then
yes. Hmm.
it's basically the story is a frog's in a well and he
Yes,
lives by
right,
himself and
right.
he says, "Okay, I see
Mm,
the sky and I'm just the best thing ever." And then one day it
right,
rains
right.
and he comes out and he just sees the whole
Yes,
world. And it
right, right.
for me, it's, like a lot of
Mm,
Go has felt like that. It's like I feel
yes,
like a
yes.
frog in a well, and every time I'm just like, oh, there's like even more.
Right. Yes.
And
There was even more.
I know. So even with you, so
Hmm.
that's gotta be really exciting for you just to see. Oh, there's so much more to go than I expected, right?
Yes. But I was born a little too early, I
Oh, I
think.
see. But
I think it must be exciting for the younger players
mm,
that are like pursuing Go in their like life.
do you think it's too late to benefit from that? Is that what you're saying, or
No,
like?
I mean, because I kind of stopped playing, I mean, stopped studying to get
Oh, I see.
stronger.
Right.
So this motivation or inspiration,
Hmm.
like it doesn't change my like life,
I
so to
see.
say.
Well, I think it's interesting because it's like the poem I said. It's like we're starting from a new end.
Right.
And I feel like at least in my what I've seen when I've studied just sort of the history, it's sort of like there was like Takeyama and the Shinfuseki, and then even now with really reading, and then even now with AlphaGo, it
Yes,
feels
yes.
like a new era. And
Hmm.
I guess it is true that people who can learn from this now will be
Hmm.
able to prove in a different way than we've ever
Right.
expected.
Hmm.
So yeah, that is true that it is only 5 games, and I hope there are more.
Right.
We've seen lots
Hmm.
of people talk about how
Yes.
oh AlphaGo can't beat me, or they want to, or even
Yes.
other people say oh we can take this technology and we can make our own version, which is
Hmm.
so then we'll just see all these different versions of like what AlphaGo was based off of.
Yes.
Now that it's happened,
Mm.
and especially Lisa Doll playing it 5 times,
Yes.
do you think if there
Mm.
were another 5 moves, not 5 moves, 5 games, or
Mm-hmm.
even 10 or 20, if Lisa Sedol just sat there and played it
Yes.
for, let's say, half a year,
Yes.
with what he played that time, do you
Mm.
think it is possible for
Mm.
him to win?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Yes. The same version
Mm.
that he played, and then let's assume that AlphaGo doesn't change a bit
Mm.
for that half a year.
Mm.
While playing AlphaGo, I am very confident that this Sedol Dan will improve,
Mm.
and he will learn the weaknesses of AlphaGo and how to exploit them.
Right.
So I think there's a good chance for Lee to win
Against the
that
older
way. Yes,
version.
yes,
And
yes.
then, but if it keeps on improving, if it improves even faster, then
Mm-hmm.
that sort of means that it might not be able to beat it. Like humans
Mm-hmm.
might not be able to win, which
Right.
is this very strange feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But we can always get some handicap.
Yes. Oh, that would be such a strange world if we played like a
Mm-hmm.
jubango, and then if
Yes.
you lost, we had to start taking stones. My
Mm.
that would really break my heart.
Yes, yes.
But I think that would be also really interesting to see. Let's see. I guess we've talked about our feelings during the games and also
Mm-hmm.
during the app. Do you have any other interesting stories that you saw or to bring back from it?
Um, no, it's also related to the fourth game, just a funny like story.
Hmm.
Like before the fourth game started, I was with Lee Sedol and he came to the waiting room with one of his friends who was also a professional player.
Mm-hmm.
And then like it was just 10 minutes before the game started.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just casually talking about the first three games. And then his friend wanted to like cheer him up.
Hmm.
And then he said that, now that the match winner is decided, you just you just have to like get rid of all the pressure and then enjoy the game and you might win.
Right.
And then he said and said that, yeah, that's true. And then like he said that, but it's too bad that it will be just the same another game for AlphaGo. It
Uh,
wouldn't.
yeah.
Yeah.
It.
So like if you I'm not sure if you understand, but like for humans, like when they are playing best of five and they already won the first three games,
Mm-hmm.
this person can be a little bit like milder or
Oh.
like feel a little bit bad to like still do the best.
Right.
But it's AlphaGo.
It just
For
plays.
AlphaGo, it's the same game as the first one or second one or third one.
Mm.
It didn't matter whether he was winning or losing.
Oh.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's that's true. I also find it interesting now. I don't want to talk about my teacher too much, so we'll talk about something else. There's like the shoulder hit, random shoulder hits.
Yes.
There's it's joking now between even between my friends, but I think I even showed a game where I played that against my teacher, or someone played that against
Yes.
me, and my teacher's like, "Oh, this is an AlphaGo move." It was like, I guess so. It's because it did it so many times. It's
Yes.
really funny to see these things happen. The
Right.
game that I think that one that got reviewed, it was like the 3-4, and then there was a
Mhm.
Joseki, and then he did
Yes.
the, I think it was the Kosumi or the
Mhm.
diagonal move, like
Yes.
almost immediately, and he's like, oh, this is AlphaGo move. It's like, I
Yeah.
guess so. And then like shortly afterwards, like my teacher looked at it, it's like, oh, this person doesn't know how to play with like the meaning behind it. But
Yes.
it is funny because I think um, I'm sure Lee Sedol's improved so much. I mean, Fang Hui said the same thing that after he played it, he started to play. He got stronger, and I think even Lee Sedol, but that people have been getting stronger as a result of this. But and it must be like you said, it's a new way of thinking, and just
Yes.
being able to be open to that.
Mm-mm.
And I think I forgot. I must have been against you. If
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't against you, it might have been with Stephanie. But
Mm-hmm.
one of you, if it was
Yes.
you, to remind me, said
Okay.
that a new style can only happen when two really strong players play. Right? Was
Mm-hmm.
it you who said that, or was
No,
it?
it wasn't me.
Oh, it must have been
So
Steph.
it must have been Stephanie then.
Right. But I think that's so interesting and so great, and it
Mm-hmm.
goes to show. I think someone once said that, uh, yeah, Lee Sedol was the best person we could have ever chose to play this,
Mm-hmm.
and
I Yes.
I think if we got anybody else,
Mm-hmm.
we might have not seen these amazing new moves that we wouldn't ever have thought of.
Right.
If we played just a, any one Don Pro from
Mm.
anywhere,
Yes.
if it wasn't the top, we wouldn't have seen this.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, I agree that Lee Sedol was the best person to play, and especially
Mm-hmm.
how he talked. So
Yes.
if you ever see him, tell him I say thank you.
Yeah. Will do.
Yeah. I wonder I wonder how he feels now if he plays anybody else, if he's like, oh, it's not AlphaGo.
You know what? Actually, he must have flown to Shanghai today.
Mm.
You know that the Ink Cup is starting.
Oh,
I
okay.
think it's starting either tomorrow or 19th.
Mm. Will this be his first games after since AlphaGo?
No, actually, he had one like official match in between,
Hmm.
but this is the first major tournament after
Oh.
AlphaGo.
And so I don't were you able to see his official match before this tournament or do you
Uh, I didn't see the game,
Hmm.
but I know the result. He won.
Oh, okay. I
Yes.
think it with this in cup, it'll be really interesting. I'd love to
Yes.
be able to see
Hmm.
if we can see a dramatic change after this.
Yes.
I would love
Hmm.
to see that, and
Hmm.
I can't wait. I'm sure tournament games are usually public, right? After they play.
Yes, I think so.
Okay,
Hmm.
so we'll have to definitely either either you or someone gets to review it, and we can all say, "Oh wow, he's like he must have played this because he played AlphaGo." I'm hoping we get to say
Yeah,
that.
that would be interesting. Yes.
Um, so let's go
Hmm.
to other topics.
Yes.
Like you said,
Hmm.
um, because of this wonderful, amazing thing that's happened in the Go world, and I never thought I would have said that because I
Hmm.
would have thought if I would have actually thought that if the computers won, people thought, oh, it's just a game with computers that play
Hmm.
better. Who
Mm.
cares? But that
Right.
everybody's so interested, and even at my
Yes.
Go club, people was
Hmm.
uh, and you've done some teaching, right?
Yes, a little.
So with a lot of these newcomers,
Mm.
do you have certain thoughts or advice to give to them about learning Go or playing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what would you say if someone said, "Oh my gosh, I saw these. I'm really interested. I want to
Yes.
play."
Mm.
What's your advice, or what would you say to them?
Okay. So if you're a beginner, my advice would be that first you try to solve as many problems as possible, the simple like capturing problems, like starting with just capturing by filling the liberties,
Mm,
and then maybe net and the ladder, and those like capturing like basic problems.
okay.
They are like essential part of Go. So you need to know these skills,
Hmm.
and then it would be better if you also play at the same time, but not on the 19 by 19 board, but on 9 by 9 board first,
Hmm.
so that you can get like familiar with this, how things work.
Hmm.
So playing on 9 by 9, solving the problems, and gradually move on to 19 by 19.
So how do you? I actually this is funny because I
Hmm.
don't remember really playing on a 9 by 9 board when I started. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still amazed I got stronger at
Yes.
at Go because I sometimes think about it and how I explain it to people. I was like, how
Hmm.
did I ever learn? How would someone know when it's start to play on the 19 by 19? Is it just when they're comfortable?
So I think it was a new agreement that 9 by 9 is better for beginners.
Mm-hmm.
Be Before, maybe in like 1990s
Hmm.
or even before that, people always stick to the full board from the beginning to the end.
Oh.
And like even the beginners would play on 19 by 19 board, probably with a lot of handicap stones,
Hmm.
or with an opponent of about the same level,
Hmm.
right? So like both beginners playing on 19 by 19.
Hmm.
But the problem with playing on the full board is that one game is so long, and then like
Hmm.
they have no clue where to go. So
Oh.
if they wanted to like play some like decent game, they also needed to know the openings and the josekis and
Hmm.
like so many more things. And while you're studying, you can't really have a game. And I think that's a little bit like boring to study everything and not being able to play.
Yes.
So lately, I think more and more Go teachers are using 9 by 9 board for the beginners
Mm-hmm.
so that they can like find it fun and interesting since they can play actually.
Mm.
And then like at some point you need to move to the full board.
Mm. Would you say 9 by 9 straight to 19 by 19 or maybe 13 by 13 too?
Um, I am not sure about that point. You could do 13 by 13 before full board,
Hmm.
I think.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree that
Mm-hmm.
it it takes so long and
Right.
it yeah, it's always when I even now, but
Mm-hmm.
more when I was a beginner,
Mm-hmm.
just to see, oh my gosh, I have to fill this whole board with
Right,
stones.
right. It's just too wide and it's a little intimidating.
Yeah. But I was definitely the same way. I just rushed to it. It's like, oh, this is what everybody plays. I have to play this first. The funny thing, I said, because I have had friends who are teach it to other people, and sometimes they ask me, or once or twice they'll ask, and like, what am I supposed to do? And
Mm,
the only thing advice I ever said was that
mhm,
a lot of people, especially I say this to anyone who begins. I said you're gonna
mhm,
feel progress more
mm,
than anybody else, and
mm,
so I said okay, so maybe the best thing for teaching people or
mm,
learning is just learning something that you can try out in the
mm,
game. And I
mm.
think this goes to what you were saying with nets and ladders and
Yes,
capturing, because
yes.
that's what happens at a very
Right,
early
right.
stage.
Hmm.
So I think the one thing I always told him was just, try and teach them, show them something really cool that they feel like, oh, I'm gonna go and try and play this, and
Yes. Hmm.
I think that's even happens at like students.
Hmm.
Like I remember seeing that like when a teacher would teach his students, oh, this new Joseki,
Mm.
the students would just all instantly play it. They would just ignore all the other Joseki and just play it all day long.
Yes.
So, do you sort of see that the same way with learning? That maybe the best thing, even for
Hmm.
maybe if not even beginners, but just people who've progressed a little, is just to learn things that they think are interesting and not just worry about what's correct. What do you think
Yes.
about that?
Yes. At all times, I believe it's important to do what you want to do
Mm.
and then like see what happens.
Mm.
Like if you are dying horribly, maybe you would want to stop trying that thing.
Mm. Right. And what about advice with playing? I still get this.
Mm.
Where you've talked about pressure while playing
Yes.
a board,
Mm.
playing a game. I think you were just sitting in front of a go board sometimes and just thinking, how am I gonna win?
Yes,
And
yes.
I
Mm.
I've had I remember this past Go Congress.
Mm.
One of the pros told me from China. She says, "Oh, just play
Yes.
Happy Go. Just be happy while playing." It's like, how can I be happy? I don't. I'm never happy. I'm always worried.
Yes.
Uh, what advice do you have with newcomers or people who get frustrated
Mm,
with this game
mm,
or are really motivated about
mm.
improving? Do you have any advice about that?
Um, so my user advice is that if you are like frustrated by your losses,
Hmm.
it can be in a way of getting stronger.
Yes.
Like you have to be okay with losing. That's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard because even like myself, when I was younger, I remember that I often cried like in restroom, like when no one else can see me.
This is like
After
Hikaru
like
no Go.
after losing a game because I was so upset with myself.
Mm.
So, but if you want to be stronger, you need to be okay with losing
Mm-hmm.
and then like keep challenging even if you lose.
Yes.
And then like two things that I think the best for getting stronger is one is to solve life and death problems
Mm.
and then like continuously and regularly. Like not like 20 problems a day and then like not doing it for 2 weeks,
Mm.
but more like five problems a day and every day, something like this.
Mm.
And the second thing is to review your own games and see where you made mistakes and why.
Yeah, actually, the funny thing was, Wang Chen from
Mhm.
China showed up this year or this passing year, and he said the same thing. Like one of his things was that
Mm,
um, reviewing your own games was important,
mm. Yes.
and that he said if you can review your own game
Mm,
and see what you did wrong,
mm.
that means you have room to improve because you
Yes.
know what you're doing wrong.
Right,
And
right.
he
Yes.
said if you look at this game, you have no idea what you did wrong. That's when you get a
Mm.
teacher.
Right, right.
You agree?
Yes. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and it's
Mhm.
yeah the pressure and just being angry about a loss. I
Mm,
feel the same way, and
mhm,
it's very difficult to be okay with it because you want
mm,
to. Another pro once said to me because I lost a game at Go Congress, and
mm, mm.
I was like, oh, I'm so angry. Like, how could I
Yes,
lose this?
yes.
And he
Mm,
said, that's good that you're
mm,
still angry about losing because the
mm,
second
mm.
you're like, whatever, I'll just play another game. It's going to
Right.
be much harder to win because you're just,
Yes.
who cares?
That's right. So it seems like you have to be angry at the right level, like not too much or not too low.
Exactly, yeah.
Yes,
The
yes.
right amount of angry.
Yes, right.
Yeah, yeah, even now when I win or lose, like
Mm,
I have to relax after, find a way to relax. And
mhm.
I can't, it's very hard for me to review a game I just lost. Because I
That
just,
yeah, it was very hard for me too. I I hated reviewing the games I lost.
yeah, because I felt bad and felt
Mhm.
worse.
Yes, yes.
But it's very necessary. And on top of that, but I think the thing I always thought about this was that newcomers is just, it's a game.
Mm.
You're doing this because you think it's fun, because you enjoy it,
Hmm.
hopefully. and and nothing is really too much on the line. So
Mm,
it is okay to feel like, oh, I lost.
mm, mm,
Why did I lose?
mm,
But it's almost just as important for amateurs to
yeah.
approach that and just say,
Hmm.
okay, and then I'm going to be even more hardworking about this.
Right. Hmm.
And but I think that's really interesting, good things for anyone at any rank, but definitely newcomers to hear.
Mm.
Be it play at nine by nine,
Hmm.
and do certain problems if you're
Yes.
gonna do them.
Right.
Another teacher of mine said, life and death is
Mm.
sort of like just doing push-ups, and
Right, right. Yes.
you're not gonna get so strong that you can lift a car
That's right. Yes,
after
exactly.
you have to do a lot of push-ups every day.
Yes,
And one
right.
day of doing 20 push-ups doesn't mean tomorrow you have to do
Yes. So
there.
true. Yes.
So
Like you're building your muscle to do like other things
now I have another.
with that. Yes.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, but yeah, you're doing it to
Mm, mm.
be able to see it, and it's never immediate.
Right. Right, right.
Is there actually any go strength that you've learned that you've been able to do that's instant? Like
Mm.
tomorrow I'm stronger, or is it always it's gonna be a slow?
It's slow and invisible progress.
Mm. Yeah, my.
But mhm.
Go ahead.
But like gradually you feel that you are playing better.
I found it more like I'm less afraid. I
Uh,
can see I'm like, okay, I'm less afraid. Sometimes it's still like I don't know, but I'm frustrated, but
mhm,
it's not I'm uh I don't know what to do. It's just like, oh, okay.
mhm.
I'm not happy with what I did, but I'm not afraid of the situation.
Right.
The other question I had was life and death.
Yes.
I've talked about this with some people, and in Chinese,
Mm-hmm.
when people say life and death, they don't
Mm-hmm.
mean just life and death. They mean life and death and like tesuji.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, same.
All right, and we're back. There was a small internet problem, but we're back.
Mm-hmm.
Hajin's here. Hi, Hajin.
Hi again.
Okay. What we were last talking about was just what life and death means.
Mm.
And you say that when you talk about life and death, it doesn't mean just doing life and death problems. Or at least I've heard that life and death doesn't mean just life and death problems. It means tesuji as well. And
Yes,
do you agree?
I do agree. Yes. So in Korean language, we call it life and death,
Mm,
but it actually include all kinds of problems in Go, like a Tetsuji or end game or just a vital point,
mm,
life and death, call, connection, disconnection,
mm.
capturing race.
So it's a big world, and I think that's important for a lot of people to hear. I've said it once or twice, but it's even more
Mhm,
important for other people to hear it from someone who's strong as well. That
mhm,
it doesn't mean just life and death. There
mm,
are more. There's more to it. I think someone said like life and death, just
mm,
life and death, is sort of
mhm.
your muscle to read out things, and then Tetsuji was more for shape, right? Or
Yes, yes.
and you can look at the shape and think, okay, there's something there. Let me use
Mhm.
reading to figure out
Yes,
what it is.
yes.
Uh,
True, yes.
and were there other parts like maybe Endgame or something that maybe helps polish a different part of?
Yes, there are like very good endgame problems. And
Mm,
in those problems, you're not trying to capture any group or any stone,
mm.
but more like you are trying to do better than like normally you would get.
Oh, I see.
So if there is a like there's a territory, like let's say black has like 10 points inside this territory,
Mm,
but there is this way of making this territory into like 6 points instead of 10 points.
mm. Yeah,
So that kind of problems
yeah,
are so yeah.
yeah. Because I know I haven't gotten to that point where I need to. Well, I don't think I've gotten to that point where I need to really worry about
Mhm.
really important endgame. But my teacher will still point it out, saying, "Okay, right here,
Mhm.
yes, you reduced him by 2 points, but you can reduce him by more."
Right.
And it's so important because
Mm.
when you don't think it, you think, "Oh, it's
Mm.
just 1 point. Why do I?" Or 2 points, and then but if you do it 3 or 4 times,
That's right.
that's 10 points.
Yes, yes. Also, sometimes the game can be very close
Mm.
within like 1 or 2 points.
Right, and being able to try
Mm.
to do that is very important. There's so much
Yes.
to learn.
Mm.
But yeah, I think that's all really important for people to know that it's
Mhm.
not just what we hear as life and death. It's life and death,
Mm.
Tesuji, connecting, disconnecting, and all these other attacking
Yes.
and end game and things like that.
Mm.
So let's talk about you, and
Mhm.
let's talk about Paduk or Go, and
Mhm.
what parts of the actual board game
Mm.
or playing it, what's
Mm.
interesting or what's enjoyable about it for you?
So playing Go,
Hmm.
I think the best part is that while I am playing a game, I forget about anything else. So I totally like get into the game world in
Mm.
my mind, like I only have this game. And I think it's a very nice vacation from the reality, kind
That's
of.
true. That yeah, I never thought of it like that. That's true. Like you're so focused that
Mhm.
you don't think
Yes.
about some of these other problems.
Mhm. And during the game, I only think about my moves, my opponent moves, and then I count, I read,
Hmm.
and just like these activities, I think it's very fun.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like when I was playing to win, and then I had to win for my life, for my career, or for the prize money, like this whole thing was not just fun, but more of like stressful.
Hmm.
There was like a big pressure that I had to win.
Hmm.
But now that I have another full-time job and my other career going on, and then I'm playing as a hobby,
Hmm.
I am like enjoying the game so much better than like ever before.
Oh wow. So it's sort of like even just a new world has. So when other pros are saying, "Oh, just play Happy Go," you agree and you understand that.
That's right, yes.
Ah, I see.
Mm.
So, well, do the losses still hurt as much as they used to, or are you?
No, like not as much, not nearly as much.
Mm.
So like before, like whenever I lost, it didn't matter who my opponent was, whether it was like an official match against a pro, or just a teaching game against an amateur player, or just a fun game with my friend. Still, I hated losing.
Even against a teaching game, you would get very angry about losing?
Yes, like when
Wow.
I was an active pro.
Oh, wow.
And then, like, especially against amateur players, I think.
I would
Because
think because you're trying to teach, you'd be okay with losing.
no, because like I would be upset that I lost to this person who is not as strong as me. And
Oh.
then like another thing was that when I was like very serious about this game, I felt like this was the only thing that I can do well. And then if I don't win at this game, then there's nothing I can win.
Oh, I see what you
So
mean.
it was just like everything to me.
Wow, that's yeah. It's funny because I've heard that even from one or two other the Wang Chen who showed up, and then Tong Yulin who showed
Mm,
up, and they both sort of felt the same way.
mm,
Just for the viewers who are watching who didn't know, Wang Chen
mm.
famously failed his professional test 6 times,
Right,
and
right.
then he became an amateur and really good
Mm,
amateur, and
mm,
then eventually he did all these other things, but he
mm,
still played a lot of Go,
mm,
and he had the opportunity to become a pro again. But by
mm,
that time, he
mm.
said, "Oh, I have all these other things I can do. It's
Yes.
fine." And
Mm,
I'm
mm,
he actually refused
mm,
becoming a pro. Tong
mm,
Yulin has sort of the same thing, even though right now he's an
mm,
active
mm.
pro.
Right.
Um, that's so cool that
Mm-hmm.
now it's even more enjoyable than before.
Right. Yes.
Um, so what does that mean now for you?
Mm-hmm.
What is Go for you now? Is it just a fun hobby you do, or do you still sometimes treat it as serious as you did before? Like what
Mm.
does it? If I had to say, what does Go
Yes.
mean for you now?
Mm.
What would you really say?
Right. So as a game, it's my hobby now.
Mm.
It's fun hobby, but very special. I have like deep attachment to this game since I put my life into this. And then I am very enthusiastic about promoting the game. I sincerely believe in all the benefits
Mm.
and all the educational value. And then I can like recommend this game to anyone. And then I mean like every word I say about this game.
Hmm. So,
So this is something that's like more important than like many other things in my life.
yeah, yeah, I can see that. It's almost like it's so it meant so much in your beginning, and then there's
Mm.
new ways to express yourself. It's almost like new parts of your life are really attached to it.
Right, right, yes.
Cool.
So, so I'm going to graduate school in September,
Hmm.
and then after the grad school, I'll probably pursue a career outside Go.
Hmm.
But like wherever I go, I think I'll be always with Go in one way or another,
Right.
and I'll be always someone like that wants to promote Go.
Right. Yeah.
Like probably as a hobby more like
Hmm.
but still
Yeah, and you even do that now with your wonderful channel and just being able to review games or play
that's
games
right.
and let people see how this is.
Mhm. So yeah, the YouTube channel, I wouldn't have started it if I didn't like succeed in like trans in like turning my life direction.
Oh,
So
I see.
if I was still like serious in Go,
Hmm.
it would be just inconceivable to talk about things I'm thinking during a game.
Oh, I see.
And then like I wouldn't even imagine doing anything similar.
Hmm.
But because I was secure with myself. I was okay with losing, and then I was playing for fun. I could try the YouTube project,
Oh,
and
I
it
see.
worked.
That's pretty cool. I never thought of it like that.
Mm,
Do you what are your hopes even just within Go? Because at an amateur stage,
yes.
like I would want to say, okay, I want to be the next Dan level. I want to be 4 Dan. I want to
Mm,
be 5 Dan, 6 Dan, maybe
yes.
7. Who knows?
Mm.
That's a lot
Yeah.
to think. But I even joke to some people that are like really um what's the word? Really frustrated about not improving. I
Mm,
say,
mm, mm.
there are people out there that are 5 Dan for the rest of their life.
Yes.
I don't know if that's frustrating for them,
Mm,
but
mm,
if they say, "Oh, I must be 6 Dan," or if they're
mm,
okay with it.
mm,
Now you play at at a reasonably strong strength.
mm.
Um, do you still have a huge hope to improve a lot, a little, or is just you just always want a little bit more? Like how does it feel to you?
So now I don't hope to get stronger.
Oh,
I
okay.
think I am strong enough to enjoy the game. And then at certain point, I think I was much higher than now when I was like still active and studying every day.
Hmm.
And I was there, and I think that was enough. And now, like, I just want to enjoy playing itself.
Hmm.
I don't really hope to get stronger.
I see. And I think it's interesting because you must be at a level that at least you can see and
Mhm.
appreciate
Mm,
what everybody's doing. Where like if
mm,
a strong player or if a don or a professional, like let's say tournament game, if they're trying
mm.
something, at least you can appreciate it. For me, sometimes I just stare and like, and it's a great way to appreciate it. And
Mhm.
even if you play someone that's like a 3Q or a 10Q, you can still
Mm.
appreciate what they're trying to do, and it's
Right,
it's a
right,
really cool communication tool for you. Like I know what you're trying to do,
right, yes.
but it must also be that you know how much work it would take to get better
That's
and
true, yes. And I am not willing to put that work into it, right?
yeah,
So I am happy with where I am now.
yeah, I had a famous interaction with my teacher. I said, "Oh, you think I
Yes,
get 5 Dan by, it was like right
yeah,
after the Go Congress. It's like, it was
yeah, right.
like 3 Dan or a fake 3 Dan or who knows."
Yes,
And I
yes.
said, "Do you think I think if you think I could be 5 Dan
Mm,
by next Go Congress?" And she
yes.
says, "You could,
Mm,
maybe." And she said, "Do you want to spend 8 hours a day playing Go, doing life and death, and this and this
yeah,
and this
yeah,
every day
yes.
until next Go Congress?" And I said, and I sat there and thought, it's like, no, I really don't. I
That's
mean,
right.
yeah.
Mm,
So I think on some level it becomes that, and you just enjoy just playing, and you can always do that at any rank, I think. And
right, right, yes. And also, like, if you're an amateur player and wants to get stronger,
mm,
like, if you're Q level, I think you can get stronger like reasonably by like watching these YouTube Go videos and solving
mm,
some problems
mm,
and maybe playing in like tournaments once in a while.
mm.
But if you're at the Dan level, I would strongly recommend that you get a teacher who is stronger, like at least like 2 or 3 stones stronger than yourself.
Mm.
And like that must help a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely helped me. I
Mm.
think my that's a different topic, but
Yes.
for me it
Mm.
was the same way. To wrap it back to AlphaGo, it was the same way where I thought Go was a certain way.
Mm.
Now, obviously, I was wrong back then, but I thought,
Mm.
okay, it's this and this, and I just don't see it. And for
Right.
me, getting a teacher, it was
Mm.
like, oh, and my teacher
Yes.
hated teaching me my first year. Like it's a joke, but it's
Yes.
it's a little
Yes.
true.
Mm.
She hated teaching me because she would play a move, that I
Mm.
would never have thought. I said,
Yes.
and I realized this because I said
Mm.
I spent a long time on this game staring at this. And
Yes, right.
couldn't find that.
Mm.
And she just instantly plays it down. And my reaction, this was
Mm.
like 5 times a game. I was like, really?
Yes.
Like, really? Like, this is the move? Like, really? And my teacher looked at me like, I'm not lying. I could not be this surprised every time. And
Wow.
and for me, just yeah, getting a teacher was able to being able to see that, and
Mm.
even with AlphaGo, I loved how other people were saying when they saw this, they said they
Mm.
call instead of calling it just AlphaGo, they would say like they would say AlphaGo 老师, which is AlphaGo teacher
Mm. Yeah.
AlphaGo, and I
Yes,
think
yes,
Japanese people would call it AlphaGo Sensei, and
yes.
I'm sure they said the same thing in
Right,
Korean,
yes, same thing.
and it's the same thing that I'm sure people have said that.
Mhm.
I wonder if even like Lee Sedol at one point when
Yes.
AlphaGo played a move, even Lee Sedol was like, "Really?"
Yeah, yeah, he must have had that reaction.
He had that one famous one where just mouth was like,
Mm.
it's really surprising.
Yes.
But yeah, how much?
Mm.
This will be the final really thing I want to ask you.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
if you actually wanted to improve
Mm-mm.
and get to the next level,
Yes.
how much work would you have to put in, do you think?
Um, I guess the more the better.
Right.
And then, like at my level, there's no guarantee that I'll actually get stronger.
Oh.
Like despite how much ever time I put into it.
Oh, wow. So it like if even if you said I'm gonna go back 8 hours a day
Mm,
and as many matches and as many like really
mm,
difficult,
mm.
there's still no guarantee.
Right, there's no guarantee. I might get stronger, but I might not.
Oh wow. So you don't even
Mm,
really, and then and I know the the famous thing where it's like, oh, once you become a pro, you don't
mm.
you don't have a teacher anymore, but you can still ask people for
Right,
help.
yes.
And I guess that's the same thing.
Because, yes, the previous belief was that once you're a professional player, there isn't really like real higher level that you can reach because
Mm.
you reach the highest level.
Mm.
But now I believe that's not true because we saw the possibility.
Oh, yeah, and that's
Mm.
and I think
So,
that's the best part. We now have a teacher. Everyone has a teacher, which
right.
is AlphaGo.
So I think that must be like a new inspiration and new motivation for all like young pros to study harder,
Oh
to
wow,
get to even the higher level.
wow! And because of all this, I
Mm.
gotta say, man, it is so great that we had
Mm.
AlphaGo. And I like I said, I
Yes.
never would have thought that because
Right, right.
we were even talking about this in our
Mm,
last one that it felt sad that it was just a lot of reading now and
mm,
that
mm.
but suddenly we get this new thinking or new
Yes,
just
like enlightenment.
yeah, and it's like oh really.
Yeah, right, right. Yes.
Wow, so that's amazing. Thank you again for showing up. i
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. I really do enjoy talking about this and just being able to see that AlphaGo being able to the effect AlphaGo had on pros and even the Go world or even in
Yes.
Korea.
Mm-hmm.
I it's amazing.
Yeah.
I would have never thought that first that I said this, but that even
Mm-hmm.
pros would have that same feeling that I would about improving.
Yes, yes.
And I guess it just says it goes to show that it's just never ending
Mm.
and
Yes.
maybe when Super AlphaGo shows up one of these days we'll get this same feeling and we'll just be like, oh really, like this is how we play it now, like who would have
That's
thought.
right, yes.
um but thank you very much. Thank you to all the viewers watching this, and I hope you enjoyed this. um Hajin, please come back sometime soon.
Sure.
I hope there's some new thing we can talk about and
Sure, yes.
amazing fun thing we can talk about. But until
Bye.
then, I'll see you soon,
And
Hajin. Bye
see you.
guys.
Bye.